lives are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. In a circle podcast where hearts unite, sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known. In a circle podcast where hearts unite, sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known. Join the conversation, let's set the tone. In a circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another powerful episode of the Inner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and today is Tuesday, June 10th. So it says we're already in the middle of the month. And today's our regular segment, but today we'll have a very, very special topic for you. We think you will love it, especially to all our fathers out there. Sunday is going to be Father's Day. Sunday, June 15th is Father's Day. But for us here at Inner Circle Podcast, we're trying to kick it off very, very early. So our topic for tonight is Father's Day special, giving shout out to all of the good fathers out there, whether you are married, living with your wife, with your kids, whether you're a single dad, grinding it every day and things like that. This segment is for you. We are celebrating all of the fathers tonight. So again, I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and this is the Inner Circle Podcast. Welcome to our regular segment. I'm here with my man, Peterson, man, from the great city of Chicago. Peterson, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Abe, and I guess happy pre-Father's Day to you and fathers out there. This is a great topic since we do not get the recognition that I don't want to say we deserve, but yeah, we deserve to be celebrated too. So let's honor the fathers out there. A lot of them sacrificing a lot for their families. So let's honor them and celebrate.
Thank you. And folks, there is an Inner Circle podcast. As it is a growing community. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Twitter, everywhere, man. We are everywhere. So join this movement and follow us and join us so we can continue to amplify, empower, and elevate. So again, our topic for tonight is a Father's Day special to all of the good fathers out there. And tonight we just want to say, first of all, happy pre-Father's Day to all of you fathers out there, whether you are present or absent. So long you're a father, we want to celebrate you tonight. But Peterson, some stocks I want to start with. And tonight I want to take it from a whole different angle, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. First of all, right, it's like you have 64.3 million fathers living in the United States, right? I mean, that's a huge number, right? Out of a population of, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And, approximately like out of that 64, right? 26, like 26.5 live with their children, right? And they are married and stuff like that. Do you which category do you fit in? Are you one of those fathers that are married, living with your kids and your wives,
Great question. I like how you added that second part, your wives.
or your wife?
I
But
do.
okay,
Yeah, I
that's
do
good.
fall in in the latter category where
Yeah,
I'm married and I'm happily married, and thank God that my wife is still able to put up with me. This year would be 14 years since I've been married, and I live with my wife and three children in the Chicago area. So yeah, but that was a great start to show like the amount of
mhm,
fathers and those who are actually living with their families or with their children.
yeah.
Because I mean, just because somebody is not living with the child doesn't mean that they cannot still be a father to that child. So,
Okay. So I come through the next one, right? Out of that 64.3,
mhm.
2.5 million are single fathers, right? Raising their children all by themselves, right? It's like, and they make up the kind of the 18% of single parents, so you would say 14, 14, that's why I say I'm gonna take it from a whole different angle tonight.
Uh-huh.
After in our 2.5 million category, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Raising my kids. I mean, I won't say by myself. I'm kind of a co-parent with my kids live with me full time and stuff like that. So I fit within that 2.5 million category and stuff like that. So it is. I mean, out of that, right? It's like out of that 2.5, they have 42% have been married, 38% never been married, 16% separated, and 4% widow. But those, I mean, it's like if you have 2.5 million single parents, man, let's single dad, right, that are living with it's like living with their kids, going through that struggle daily, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But those are things you never hear. The only thing you hear all day, every day, single mothers, single
Yeah,
mothers.
yeah,
Nothing against the single mothers, man, you know what I mean? Shout out to them, kudos to them and stuff like that. They are grinding
yes,
every day. But
yeah.
what do you make of that, right? Those are things you never hear.
That is right. And like you said, kudos to those single dads who are raising their kids or their children alone or co-parenting. But if the child is living with them full time, like in your case, where like you said, we never hear about that. Every time it's like, oh, single mother, single mother, single mother. And there are these single dads who, besides being like everything. Now you have to take care of your child or your children, which is difficult because
Mhm,
as hard as it is for those who have two parents within a
mhm,
home to do it alone and then be not like the status quo, but to go against it because usually when you think of a single parent home, a lot of people would just automatically assume, well, it's the mother that's
yeah.
the single parent, but to have that number of single dads is actually humbling to say, okay, well, we have all these men out here who are sacrificing, like I said, for their families and for their kids to give them a better life, and they themselves they have to sacrifice a lot. They have to compromise and
Yeah.
give a lot to be able to raise their children.
Okay. Well, definitely, that's a good point. So, folks, tonight, we are celebrating the Father's Day. This Sunday, June 15th, is going to be Father's Day. So, here at Inner Cycle Podcast, especially my man Peterson and myself, man, we have decided to give a shout out to all of the fathers out there. If you are married, living with your kids and your wife, single, doing it, raising your kids. Wherever you are, right? So long you are father, want to celebrate you. If you are expected father, want to celebrate you, because I mean, we don't celebrate fathers enough, right? As I said, the month of June should be dedicated to fathers, but folks don't do that. I mean, we don't do that, right? We take the whole May,
Yeah.
to celebrate mothers, and things like that. So tonight, we just want to give a special shout out to all of the fathers out there, man, doing your best, raising your kids, being present, and things like that. So again, you can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 952-594-5154. or putting a comment in the chat. But one of the challenges too, though, right, about especially about fatherhood in this country and the challenges it comes with, you know, it's about about custody. Where I mean, maybe like you and your wife are married with kids, and all of a sudden things don't work out, and they decide to go separate ways, right? Those things become struggles, right? Okay, who should have the kids or who should be involved? The whole custodial and divorce and fatherhood and things like that. Sometimes it makes raising these kids really, 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 really difficult. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so I think from that angle, with the traditional sense of the woman being at home and being like the care
Hmm.
giver or taking care of the home and the children, that's why a lot of times when we encounter those situations where people are either separating or going through a divorce, you will assume most times like, oh, okay, the mother is the one that's going to keep the children majority of the time, and then the father gets like visitation and things like that. But it takes a toll on the children, and
Hmm.
I mean, studies will show that children who go through divorce, or who their parents go through divorce and things, they are impacted like in a negative manner, because not only do they have to deal with that stress and trauma of not
Hmm.
having their both parents available to them at all times, now they have to be going from one person to the other. And I mean, growing up, we never heard of those things, especially back home,
Yeah.
where you'll say, "Oh, okay, the divorce," and now the one parent have to, or they both have to go to court and see who's going to keep the children and things like that. Now, until we came to this country, that we found out is such a big, big, big issue that whenever people decide to file divorce or go their separate ways, they have to take that into consideration. Like, okay, what's going to happen to the kids? And now the state or the government have to step in and make that decision.
Yeah, yeah. And the other great stocks, right, is like only about out of the 2.7 million of uh so the other stocks too that kind of caught my eye, right? 2.7 million of kids, right, have their dads in jail or others are incarcerated. And one of the things you think about that, right, especially in our community, in the black community, most black folks, right, is like when it comes to the jail population, right, is like
Mhm.
it's hugely dominated by black men. And to
Yeah.
hear and to see that 2.7 million kids are living without their parents, right, because their parents are incarcerated or in jail. I mean, that's a shocking statistics, right? It's like who are there for these kids? I mean, it's like who's there? Is it our responsibility as a community, as a black community, to come around and make sure that these kids, man, you know what I mean, we can't only leave them to their mothers, but also that kind of be involved to raising. I mean, as a community, what do you think of that? What is your thought process around that?
Yeah, so I think you make a good point on that as far as the community stepping in. But even before the community can come in, or for it to get to that point where the community have to step in, that's
Hmm.
why we have to raise these like our boys who will become men one day. We have to raise them in such a way that, okay, you have to make sure that you are a contributing member to society, not just hanging out. It's like what we said last week about those who they don't have that reference point or somebody
Hmm.
to look up to. Now, if you grow up in the hood and all you know is, okay, my I don't know who my father is, or he's in and out of jail. They keep telling me like, oh, he's here and there, or even if it's somebody that you do know, but he's not living right now. There's a high probability that tomorrow you might end up in the same system. But if we train or raise our kids so that we say, okay, go to school, make sure you learn something, even if it's not through the education system. Put yourself into like trade school, like that one episode that you and Miss B had about, if you can't go to a 4 year college, go to a community college, go to a
Yeah.
trade school, learn something
Hmm.
so that you can be able to better yourself. Then
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Hmm.
in case you encounter some circumstance, and I mean, not everybody in the prison system are like criminals,
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
sometimes is wrong place, wrong time, and we
Hmm.
don't know how the justice systems things are stacked up against, especially minority and more especially black people as a whole. So we have to just navigate the society that way.
Yeah. I mean, so the other obvious thing, you raise a good point, right? I think, it is sad, first of all, to hear such a statistics, right? 2.7 million kids, have their fathers incarcerated. That's sad, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Hopefully, you know, one of the things I always point out to, right, is like most of us that grew up in Africa, sometimes, even if our parents were there, sometimes some of us were self-read because, dude,
Yeah,
your parents, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Some of us self-read because, hey, the papa might give you, they might pay your school fees and do stuff for you, but sometimes they were never around, right? So it's
yeah,
up to you to try to raise yourself, making sure, man, that it's your future that's at stake. So hopefully, kids that find themselves in that situation can also try to make a better decision. But I mean, the country we find ourselves in is a tempting country, a lot of temptation, a lot of challenges and things like that. So
yeah,
hopefully we can just, pray for the best for them. But one of the other things I want to touch on though is about fatherhood as a partnership. You as a married man, living with your wife and your kids, how do you guys how do you guys go about parenting, right? Because if I take it to the African way, right, I was just mentioning the
yeah.
father body kids, there's nothing, right? They
Yeah.
don't take them to school. They don't
Mhm.
take them to their games. They don't help them with homework. None of that. But you live in this country. You know what I mean. How is fatherhood as a partnership for you? How does it feel? Are you fully involved?
Yeah.
As a dad.
I
Doing
I like
all
that
of the
term,
nitty gritty.
fully involved. So
Okay.
I'm one of those
Okay.
people where it's like my wife, she carried the kids for the
Hmm.
9 months, and of
Okay.
course I'm there with her, going to every appointment and stuff. But it's almost like once she gives birth, she's like, okay, well now they're yours. You take care of them. So when it comes to being a partner in that way, uh, I'm one of those. And growing up, I was always like more drawn to children and stuff like that. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
like I consider myself like the nurturer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm the one, even right out of the hospital, when the kids
Yeah.
are barely a day or two old, I'm the one who will actually like bathe them and make
Okay.
sure I'm doing
Yeah.
everything. And because of that, my kids are much closer to me than even
Mhm.
my wife, because when my first son was born, we had to switch schedules since in my line of work there was like no night shift, and she's in healthcare, so she picked up night shift, and
Yeah.
then so I was always home with him. I mean, he didn't breastfeed, so I'll always like give him his bottle and stuff like that. So he got so close to me that at times when he was growing up and learning to talk, my wife would say, uh, she would be like she doesn't even exist in the house because he would always be around me. And sometimes she would jokingly ask him like, who born you? And then he's like, my dad. Like, wait, your dad born you? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's like that. And we have to give these women like breaks. It's not easy. And when we
Hmm.
talk
Hmm.
about being involved, it's not just like, oh yeah, I take him to school, or I help with homework, or I'm like cleaning around the house and stuff like that. We have to be involved with the children too.
Yeah. Man, first of all, right, you just made me have to give a shout out to our man Melvin Zia, the good Mel. Mel is kind of doing the same thing that you did. You have been doing when the kids are born. The reason why folks that you guys have not seen Melvin Zia, his wife changed schedule, and right now as we speak, the man is babysitting, and the child is still young. You know what I mean? And stuff. Kudos to that dude, right? The fact that he's very supportive, of his wife, babysitting his child,
Mhm.
doing that, being a father, and stuff like that, man. Kudos to him for that. So it's like, so I want to give a special shout out to Melvin Zia. That man was dedicated, coming here every night. But the reason why you haven't seen him, man, sometimes, you know what I mean, fatherhood or being a father have taken precedence
Right.
over some of his love and passion. So, and that's what we are looking for. Those are the things. Those are the things to me should be celebrated. So, definitely want to celebrate you, my man Peterson. I also want to give a special shout out to Melvin Z at a good meal. So,
Right.
folks, tonight We are discussing this a topic for tonight is a Father Day special. As you all know, Sunday, June 15th is going to be Father's Day. So we here in Osaka Podcast, we have taken this Tuesday to give a special shout out to all of the fathers out there. Right? You don't even hear the reason why we got great female panelists here in Osaka Podcast. But guess what? They can't even appear tonight to give a shout out to the fathers out there. So we gotta come here all by ourselves. You know what I mean? To give the fathers shout out, you know what I mean, and things like that. We're doing this special segment, man, for all of the fathers out there. But the other thing though is like, Peterson, as a dad again, right? I want to stick to the theme of this marriage, leadership in the home, right? Especially that joyful leadership. Sometimes, you got if that two parents home, right? It's like the father want to be the one, or maybe the punisher, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, right? Always want to maybe want to be the bad dude, right? It's like, hey, it's like, oh, we yelling at the kids.
Yep, good kind, bad
Everything is
kind.
trying
Yep.
to go to the mother and me and things like that, right? How's the
Mhm.
dynamic like in your home?
Yeah, so that's another great point because traditionally that's what we are used to seeing, where
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
dad is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna like, hey, every little thing the spank and stuff," and then the kids will go to their mom. But in my case, when it comes to even like just talking, by nature, I'm a quiet person, so
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not one that's going to like yell or scream or anything, but I do mine in a different way. So when it comes to like leadership or uh, discipline,
Hmm.
ultimately,
Hmm.
it's something that we have to both be aligned on. So she would leave it up to me to say, okay, well, if somebody gets out of line, how do you want to discipline? Or it's
Hmm.
something that we talked about before, where before the kids even start growing up, we say, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. We're not spanking or whipping
Hmm.
the kids.
Hmm.
Not everything they do. Of course, that's what the African people would say. Oh, spare the rod, spare the child. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's not in every situation.
Hmm.
There are circumstances that will cause for that. But when it comes to my home, uh, we take a different route. So for that, the kids they know to behave because
Yeah.
there are always like consequences.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the concept of like taking a belt or something like
Hmm.
it's like strange. It will be strange to them if,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's a fear that they still have. So what I tell them, I would tell somebody like, "Hey, grab my belt," but I've never put belt on anybody before, any of them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's still that thinking like, "Oh, okay, well, if he's calling for a belt, that means something's about to happen." So it's just that fear
Yeah.
factor
Yeah.
to put in there, and at the same time, especially like each child is different and they all have
Hmm.
like different personalities. There are some
Hmm.
that you have to be like really like firm with, and then others, like I said last week, like my daughter, if I like just raise my voice, she's just like gonna start crying. Whereas the youngest one, now him, I have to like grab him physically and be like, "Hey, dude, stop!" before he listens. And each one is different, but at the same time, if you discipline a child, uh, you should be available. Like how people always say, like little kids, if you discipline like a little 2 year old,
Hmm.
if you go to say, okay, come and give me the hug, they're not going to say, no, you just punished me. I'm not giving you a hug. So we should have that type of relationship with the kids where we say, okay, what I'm doing, this punishment or whatever I'm doing, is not because I hate you or
Yeah.
something like that, but you should be able to give them the reason why they're getting that punishment, and then also turn around and give them that love, like, hey, I still love you and everything, although this is a punishment.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, right? One of the things to actually understand in that, right, is to also kind of also reflect on your own childhood, right?
Yep.
Right. To reflect on your own childhood, because looking like everything when you were young, right? When your parents used to do it, you thought it was bad, right? You thought it was bad. You thought it was not in your
Yeah.
interest. You thought it hated you. when you're growing up, even when you're, I mean, some of your elders tell you something, say, what, I mean, what is he talking about? Why is he trying to tell me what to do, right? So, like, growing up, sometimes you accept, I mean, it's like for me, I experience it, right? You feel sometimes you are rebellious, sometimes you don't listen, and dude, as you raise your kids, where your kids sometimes do the same, and these
Exactly.
kids sometimes, right, especially when your kids are just like you, some of the things they be
Yeah,
doing is like, okay. When I was growing up, right,
I did the
those are
same.
some of the things I used to be doing, you
Yep.
know.
Yeah,
Those are
it
some of
comes
the
full
things I used
circle.
to,
It comes full
yeah, so
circle.
those
Like
things,
sometimes you don't think
and
about it.
sometimes when you reflect on it, you say, okay, you catch yourself and say, okay, how do I go about discipline? Do I go hard on them, or I mean, how do I approach it and stuff like that? So sometimes you have to see it through your own lens, right? It's like growing up. How were you one of those rebellious one when your parents tell you something, it comes in here and it goes out here and stuff like that. So, and kids, man, especially in America, man, kids are very, very. I mean, they are smart in a way. They are very sneaky,
Yeah,
right? They try to
yeah.
get away with a lot,
Yep.
you
They'll
know.
push you. They'll
They
try to
try to
push you
whatever
and
they
see
can
what they
try to
can get
get
away
away
with.
with,
Yep.
and when you try to, be forceful or try to tell them that ungood, they say, oh, you look at your own child will look at you sometimes, oh, you don't love them or you hate them. You look at them and say, really? I hate you, really? And stuff like that. But that's the dynamic, right? You got to deal with, right? You just have to find that balance. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So, folks, again tonight, this is our Father's Day special, June 15, man. June 15, this Sunday. I hope all the ladies out there, you know, you are preparing to do something special, man, for the fathers. I mean, for these great fathers out there sacrificing, standing by your side, like my man Peterson, like my man Mel, doing their thing, standing by your side. I hope you guys can, honor them this Sunday. Don't just take them out to eat. That thing getting old. Yeah, don't just, you
Go
know.
to Red Lobster? Okay, Red Lobster. For you.
Don't just, yeah, dude. If I can go to my own restaurant, why you want to take me out to eat? Stop taking me out to eat. Get me something that I can remember. Like, hey, like get me something that I can remember. So not just the red lobster and all those stuff. So
Yeah.
so folks, you can contribute to the conversation by putting a comment in the chat, or call them with number 952-594-5154. Well, Peterson, as a father, as this day comes over, what's the significance of Father's Day to you, right? And to me, I know what it is, and then I will let you go first. And then, but
Mhm.
what does Father's Day signify to you? Does it make you reflect? I mean, what does it mean to you? What does a day as a whole mean to you? I know it's just like any other day, right? But as a father raising kids, what does it mean to you? What does it signify to you?
Yeah, so Father's Day, I guess it wasn't that important to me until
Mm,
I started like having kids of my own.
mm,
And when I think of like Father's Day or fatherhood as a whole, like when my first son was born, and I mean, I'm always in the hospital with my wife or other kids, and my father-in-law called from Liberia one time. He's like, "Pete, where are you?" I said, "I'm at the hospital." He said, uh, "Have you been there the whole time?" I'm like, "Yeah, where am
yeah.
I gonna go?" And he like, "Wow, bravo to you." I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, because a lot of men will like run away from the hospital because they don't want to deal with that, see that stress or something like that." But yeah, so when I think of fatherhood, I just think of like bringing life into this world and being responsible for that person for as long as God allows you to take care of them, and having somebody like depend on you, and the trust that children have that they put in like parents. They look at you like you are bigger than life itself. So it's a humbling feeling to say, "Oh wow, can like little Billy me, how can somebody like think of me so like like the whole world revolves around me and stuff like that." So when I think about Father's Day, that's what I reflect on. Like, okay, when my first child and then the children were all born, it makes me to just reflect on that.
Yeah. For me, right? It gives me a deeper sense of meaning, right? It takes on a whole different level, right? The way we carry yourself. And yes, I think something I think a lot of folks get wrong, right? You don't have to strive for perfection.
No.
There's no one's perfect when it comes to parenting, especially as a father. I think a lot of guys, want to be the perfect father, want to be so disciplinary, want to be so straight, and
Mm,
sometimes right, they want the mother to be the nurturer. But as you said, but to your point earlier, right, you can be that nurturer, right? You can be there for your kids and things like that. So to me, it gave me a deeper sense of meaning. And let me just like a couple of weeks ago, just a week and a half ago, my daughter was graduating from 8th grade, right?
mhm.
I became emotional at that graduation because man, since this little girl have been in kindergarten, every morning I wakes up, get her
Yeah.
ready for school and drop her to school, right? But I'm the kind of person where you had to see me like emotion and
Yeah.
myself had to cross path. But for some reason, man, I saw myself sitting there so emotional. I said, "Oh, God," you know. And my little daughter came to me and said, "Dad, are you crying?" I said, "Nah." It's like,
Nah. It's
yeah,
just
nah, no, because like two is like every morning I wake up, getting little girl ready for school, drop her off. It's like it's been a routine. And then she's graduating from 8th grade. Mind you, it's only 8th grade, right?
yeah.
But give you a deeper sense of meaning. It's like, man, this you're not just you are raising a child who's becoming a teenager and they're about to
Yep.
become an adult. And
Yep.
so wow, it's a huge responsibility,
It
and
is. It is.
and you just have to have the grace to do it every day. As I say, you don't have to strive for perfection. You don't have
Mhm.
to be perfect. I think a lot of fathers out there want to be perfect. Some of the mothers will tell you, "Oh, you this and that." As you said, like to your point, on our last segment last week, tribute to our fathers and things like that. How like people look at you, "Oh, deadbeat," you know what I mean? Deadbeat, this, that, this, and sometimes a lot of fathers, a lot of guys get intimidated by those and say, "Hey, you know what I mean?" And it's sometimes they just stay away or they try to be absent. But you don't have to try for perfection, man, as a father, as a dad, right? You can do
Yep.
every little bit that you can do. And kids will appreciate that, right? And
Yep.
kids will appreciate that your
Yep.
involvement, your presence, whatever little you are doing for them. They might not, they're not going to tell you thank you every day
No.
because they feel, right? It
Yep.
is a responsibility. But sometimes they will come to you and say, "Oh, damn, I'm so grateful, right? You're my dad, right?" Sometimes you'll be sitting out of
Yeah.
nowhere to come and do that, you know. So that's where to me is like it just gives you that joy, right? It's like, God, I hope I can do this. If I have to do this all over again, I'll do it 10 times over,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because it's a whole special feeling. It gives you a whole different perspectives about life, you know. And you just and the one thing, like sometimes some guys like be afraid to take their kids everywhere. I say, "Hey man, dude, if I'm going somewhere and I have and my kids want to go with me, why
Yep.
not?" Okay. There should be no shame in that.
No
You know what
shame.
I mean? You
No
should do it
shame.
with joy,
Yep.
right? You should do it with joy because they look up to you,
They
right?
look up
And
to
give
you.
you
Yep.
a whole different sense of meaning. So to me, that's what to me fatherhood signifies, right? It gives you
Mhm.
it pull you on a whole new different level. It give you a different meaning. You feel that, man, you are raising a whole human being
It
that
is.
needs to come in, you know what I mean? That is navigating a world. You yourself navigating it, right? Struggling to
Yep.
navigate it, but she herself or he herself trying to do the same thing. So you guys, it's a partnership, it's a collaboration.
It
You just
is.
gotta
It
do it
is.
together. No one has to be perfect. The
Yep.
child doesn't have to be perfect. You as the father don't have to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
all the
There's
guys
no
out there,
perfect.
don't strive
There's
for
no perfect
perfection, man.
person. Yep.
Yeah, you know what I
There's
mean?
no
Just do
perfect
the best
human.
you can do. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, the other thing too, right, about the whole stereotypes that come back to our community, especially when it comes to our community minute, there's those stereotypes, like as I said, I think you mentioned this too the last time on our segment, especially for black men, right, or immigrant men, right? Some of them say, "Oh, we are absent." Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, there are some fathers that are absent,
Right.
but it's not. But that is, if you really look at that statistics, though, only few. But when it comes to black men being absent, that's kind of a stereotype that's being like, thrown upon us.
Hmm.
But when you look at the surface, that's not the truth.
That's
Why
not
you
it.
think that stereotype is out there about black men?
Yeah, because that negative narrative is just out there from few instances or few situations of people that you see that are not absent, and they they try to, lack of a better term, amplify that negativity so that it would just impose it on the whole community. Like you said, oh, black men, they're always absent in their children's lives, which is not the case. There are just a handful of people in with
Mhm.
your immediate circle who will have that characteristic of not being there for their children, or not being present. And those people, uh, many times we need to get to the bottom of it. We can't just conclude like, oh yeah, this person is such a bad father, or a bad person that they just abandon their kids and stuff like that. There will be circumstances that lead up to that, and sometimes we need to see both sides of the to hear both sides of
Mhm.
the story. Not
Mhm.
everybody will be able to handle things the same way. So what can stress me out or will get me to that point is not the same thing that you will not react the same way. So
Yeah.
sometimes we need to give some of them a break and try to encourage them, so that if whatever led to them not being present, I mean, the time, once you have time, there's hope and there's everything. It can be for as long as you've walked away or you've neglected that child or children. Once you still have time, you can mend that relationship. It might not be perfect, as nobody is perfect. It will not be ideal to what you like, but at least you will still be able to build something with that person. Because many times, children who grow up with an absent father, when they do get to a certain age, they will start asking questions like, "Where
Yeah.
is he?" Like, because they yearn
Yeah.
for that relationship, they yearn for that person to be close to them. And if it's not the situation where the person have unfortunately passed, if they are still alive, I think is up to even the mothers to say, okay, you know what, uh your father is important in your life. No matter what happened between us, if they are still willing to be part of your life, I'm going to like get out of the way so that you can establish a relationship with the father.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, I think last on our last segment here, right? Lesson from our fathers on our last segment last week, I mentioned, right? I think, and to your, and you just lay it down perfectly. Where a lot of people allow their emotion to control them, right?
Yeah,
When it comes to this situation, well, especially when there's a child involved, man, you know, you have to put your own feelings and your emotion aside as a man. To me,
right,
right? As a
right.
man, you
Hmm.
got to, because somebody lady would nag you. They'll come, they'll come, they'll come after you do. They want to come after your pocket. They want to come
Oh
after
yeah,
everything, right? But
yeah,
your role there, right? Your role is not to try to battle with her.
right.
Yeah. Don't go to battle with her, right? She'll try to battle you and stuff like that. Don't battle with her. Try to what? At the end of the day, right? Your only interest,
Hmm.
right?
Should be
Should be your, I mean,
child.
should be that child.
Hmm.
So as I said, right? As you can say, like bro, as Jesus said, when you stop you here, turn the other one around. Okay, yeah, if she saw you, don't react, because guess what? All she's trying to do for you to react, and so that she can say, oh, maybe she have maybe sole custody of the child, right, and things like that. So once because number one, you should understand that child did not ask to come into this world.
Exactly.
You took that responsibility, whether you think it was a mistake, whether you think it was too soon, whether you think it shouldn't have happened, or whether you think I was the wrong person. When the child is dead, now it's not about wrong or right.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
responsibility as a man to put your emotion, to put
Hmm.
everything aside, to be involved, and things like that. And then I think, as sometimes, as you say, right, everybody handle things differently. But what we need to understand, especially, guys men that are struggling with this, they need to understand, man, that you cannot let situation control you.
Right.
Yeah, you cannot, because at the end of the day, that child needs you,
Hmm.
right? That child wants you to be involved. The lady, on the other hand, sometimes she's not even thinking about the child. You think that the child she coming after. You think that the child she after.
He's trying to
But
hurt you,
yeah, you
and
gotta
that's
understand
it.
that difference, right? You think that the
Yeah,
child you think her concern or her primary concerns, but it's not a child.
it's not a
Right.
child.
Yeah. The child is just being used as a means to try to what?
Yep. Yep.
Get
Yeah.
to you, I mean, get to whatever aim she has, right? So you shouldn't buy into that. You should
Yeah.
avoid that as much as possible, right? To try to
Sure.
be involved, to try to, I mean, it's like, because at the end of the day, right, you always got to be the peacemaker in that situation as a man,
Hmm.
right? You always got to be the peacemaker because at the end of the day, that child's gonna grow up and say, "Why didn't you try enough? Why didn't you try?
Yep.
Right? Why didn't you fight? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And stuff like that. What it is that you have to walk away, right? And yeah, they're gonna blame you for it. So
They will.
I
They will.
yeah, you know what I mean. So as a man, no situation, no matter how big, and as I said, man, these ladies, some of these ladies, I mean, we live in a social media world where someone will go on social media, right? It's like
Hmm.
going,
They
going
go
after
like,
that the baby daddies and stuff that you wonder. But that should not get to you. You as a man, man, don't let that emotion get to you, right? You should
yeah,
not.
that is
Yeah.
that is a great point because I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes some of these fathers they still want to be involved, but because of what happened between
Mm-hmm.
them and the mother, she weaponized like your child basically against you. So
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is how I'm going to punish you, how I'm going to get back to you by keeping the child from you. And many of them they still want to be involved, but once it gets to that point where they're threatening, like, "Hey, I'm going to do this. You cannot see your child," and then a lot of men too. And to your point, we should still be at least emotionally mature enough to say, "Okay, this person is just trying to get back. I mean, now my focus is on this child. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to uh, as
Mm-hmm.
much as possible be involved with this child." But a lot of times they would just try to use the child against you so that you can turn away. And the children, they're not going to blame. They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, my mom." They said, "When I took," they'll say, "No, you left. You abandoned me. You left me, and you
Mm-hmm.
understand that."
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and they think about it, right? I mean, they think about it, right? And sometimes, I would not even blame. Sometimes I don't even blame the mother or the woman in that situation, right? Because as I said, right, her aim sometimes or her goal is different from your goal,
True.
right? Her goal is different from your goal. Two of you might be going opposite direction, but it's up to you to say, okay, how best can we meet in the middle? And I have serious problem with some fathers or some dudes, right? It's like because of child support, now they want to walk away from the situation.
Yep.
Dude, I tell I tell people,
Or they don't
hey,
want to work.
yeah, yeah, okay. Man, come on, man. It's like, dude, the fact that you thought you were a man I
Right.
mean, to bring that child into this world, child support should not hinder you as a father,
Mhm.
right? It should just give you extra motivation, And I think when even the child support is there, I think you should go above and beyond and do more,
Right.
right? Because you will bring your teenager. I mean, you'll break them. You'll say, okay. I mean, because at the end of the day, right? Some of them, to your point earlier, right? They try to go that route to say, hey, maybe I'll make him to walk away. I'll make him not to be involved and things like that. What they try to get back at you, I said, they will come after your pocket. They will come
Yep.
after every means to try to break you. It
Yep.
is up to you to say, look, for the sake of my child, if the
Mhm.
child support that 1 million, we'll fight it. We'll go and yeah, we'll go and do, we'll do whatever we can do to make it happen.
Right.
Right. But I don't think as a father, as a dad, someone who bring a child into this world as a man, you should walk away from a situation because of someone trying to get back at you, through child support or custody battle, because some of these custody battle man can be very, very tedious, right?
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes you go to court, man, is that the judge looking at you like you don't exist. It's
Yeah.
not hard for the mother. He said, okay, but you, I'm here too, though, right? So what's about me?
Exactly.
It's all
Exactly.
right.
It's all
Yeah,
about
so
the woman,
they
the
can
mother,
become
and the child.
emotionally drained, and things. But it is up to you, man, as a father, right, to
Mhm.
go through that, to bear it because the child needs you, the kids needs you. Never ever walk away because of those kind of a situation. So it is. I know. I mean, it's easy to say, but it's not easy,
Of
right?
course. Of
Because we live
course.
in a
Of
country,
course.
because we live in a country sometimes the system, especially for our color, you know, the system sometimes is not merciful for
No.
to us, right? The system is not going to feel sorry for you. So you
Yeah.
have to find the best way to handle it. I know for a fact, and as men, we all know, especially for black men, we know it's not easy.
Mhm.
But this June, my encouragement to all the fathers out there, man, no matter the situation, always try to be present, right? And don't let these ladies, right? They are doing a great job. Sometimes the intention is right, but when it comes to women, sometimes they don't know how to control that emotion, right? It's like, they want to take it all out, in a situation. It's up to us men, especially when we have these kids involved, right? To be there as fathers, to support them and to make sure that they are growing up right in the society, man. Because Peterson is tough in this country. It's tough
It
raising kids
is.
in this country.
It is. It is. And especially when it comes to like black men and the whole like child support thing. Like I used to go to court a lot for traffic violations because I had a
Hmm.
heavy foot driving. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the only
yeah.
time I've ever been to court is to
Hmm.
fight traffic tickets. And like the first few times I went, I was surprised to see like they'll bring somebody from their cell, like, oh, do you have that child support? I'm like, wait, people can actually go to jail for child support. I didn't know that. And he's the judge like, yeah, all his lawyers like, yeah, he's been there for like 2 months. Like, okay, do you have that money now? And then you guys like, no, he's like, okay, well, go back, put him back. I'm like, so how is he supposed to pay this child support if he's locked up? But yeah, it's sad that a lot of men have to go through that, and those who are willing to actually pay. I mean, it's to the benefit of the child. It might be
Hmm.
hurt your pocket. It might be like stressing and stuff, but it's very important to be involved in that child's life. And sometimes some fathers would just like, okay, well, I'm paying child support, so that's all. But we're talking about being involved in the life of the child. Even if you are paying child support and you get only like visitation, that time that you spend with the child, make sure it's like quality time.
Yeah,
And I don't think if even if you have visitation rights, I don't think the judge would deny you if you say, "Oh, I want to take my child to school," or "I want to
yeah, yeah.
be more involved." They're not going to say no to you. So
Hmm.
try by all means and get involved.
Yeah, I think it's important, right, to your point, man. So sometimes try to go the extra mile because I
Right.
just some men would just say, "Oh, I'm just paying that tax, but that's what you want. I'm paying that tax, but I'm done."
Yep.
Nah, man, that's not. It's like, dude, don't do it. Yeah, don't do that, right? It's like because at the end of the day, it is not about you or the
You or
mother or
her.
the
Yep.
child.
It's about that child now.
Yeah, I mean, do you love the child? I mean, imagine, right, if your parents are going to bring you here and say, you know what, what I mean, your mom said I should pay X, Y, and Z for you. That's it. I'm done with you.
Yeah, I'm
How will
done.
you feel? Right? Yeah, just, sometimes, put that in your shoe. How will you feel, right? You'll
Yep.
feel, say, no, that's not right, right? That's not right, and things like that. That's not right. So I think we as men, especially to all the fathers out there on this Father's Day, June 15, Father's Day coming up this June 15, man. Just reflect, right, on the meaning of what it mean. I mean, what it is to being a father raising kids I mean, we live in a crazy world right now, raising men, raising girls and stuff like that. We're bringing them into a world that is so different,
It is.
compared to what we live in before, we are living in now, right? The world is changing fast, so many things happening. So I think the one reflection we should do on Sunday is, what does it mean raising kids in this kind of an environment? An environment with social media. Sometimes your kids be on the phone doing stuff or searching stuff that you
Yep.
don't even know what it is, what is
Done.
coming at them.
Yep. Yep.
It's like they're bombarding them with different
With
stuff,
different things.
all this stuff, so
Yep.
you as a parent, I mean, especially as a father, right? It's your duty and your responsibility to guide them. So, folks, tonight we are doing a Father Day special for all the fathers out there, the expected fathers, the baby daddies. If they just call you a baby daddy, the baby daddies, happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, man. Even to our incarcerated fathers, man. Shout out to you. We know it's tough, hang in there. Hopefully you can get out. To the fathers who are distant, because of whatever reason, happy Father's Day to you as well. But
Yep.
don't give up. Keep up the struggle. So, folks, you can contribute to the conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. You're wondering why are we doing a Father's Day special? Because my fathers do not get love. Peter said,
We have to do a special for Father's Day.
yeah, it's like, if this was May, you'll be a Mother's Day, mothers and
Mother's
stuff.
Day, Mother's
Nobody
Day.
talking about whether we're gonna get flowers. The only thing, maybe some of them planning can take me to the restaurant. I beg you. I don't want. I'm sick of rest. I'm sick of restaurant stuff.
He's like,
I'm
you
like,
didn't
keep the restaurant to yourself, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Keep your restaurant to yourself. I want something different this year for Father's Day. I want restaurant stuff. So, but Peterson, what are you looking forward to for Father's Day? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so for Father's Day this year, usually my wife, she will usually like surprise me for Father's Day and like get me something that
Mm,
I need, but
mm,
I don't see like,
mm.
oh,
Okay.
just from my my everyday, like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not something
Okay.
I need or something I want. But she
Mm.
will go and get me something usually as a surprise. And my daughter's birthday is close to Father's Day, so
Okay.
how she remembers it, like, yeah, after Father's Day, that's my birthday. So she is waiting for that to it's special to her and the kids as well. But for my daughter, she's one of those, she's 5, she's gonna be 6 next week. And
Mm-hmm.
she's daddy's girl to the core. But
Mm.
is like when you asked the question earlier about how does it make you feel when you think of Father's Day and stuff like that, she's one of those, like, it doesn't matter what uh, I'm doing. Sometimes she would just. I told her to go upstairs, but if I didn't, she would be standing by me. She's
Yeah.
around me all the time, and sometimes she would just also like, "I love you. Do you love me?" I'm like, "Yeah." Then she was like, "How much?" And then I said, "To the moon and back." She's like, "Okay, I love you this much as well." And sometimes it just brings smiles to my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it would just be random. It's not
Yeah.
like you don't have to do anything special for them or something. Sometimes it's just like uh I guess God just put it, that's their way of expressing it, like how we can say,
Mm-hmm,
oh,
mm-hmm.
thank you and stuff to each other. That's how they are. So for me, I'm just looking forward to that day and whatever surprise my wife has. And it will probably involve a restaurant as well at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
it will be some gift and then restaurant. But yeah, that's what I'm looking
Man,
forward.
Peterson, I'm encouraging all the men out there, man, to rebel against the restaurant this year because that's all we get, right? Yeah, man. We refuse that restaurant thing. Tell you, say, hey, do something different. That stuff is old. That restaurant stuff is old. Change it. Give me a different flavor this year, right? Do a whole different flavor. So I'm
Yeah.
encouraging all the fathers out there, man. Demand a special Father's Day gift this year, man. Not restaurant stuff. But Peterson, though, right? You brought a great point about girls, right? You know, your daughter. So first of all, let me just ask you before I say what I want to say. Are you a girl's dad?
I'm both. I'm
Okay.
I'm girls dad and like boys are usually drawn to their
Yeah,
moms,
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
in my case, like I said, my son, especially the oldest one,
Mm-hmm.
he's so close to me that uh
Mm-hmm.
in was it like first grade or kindergarten, they asked him
Mm-hmm.
to write stuff like, "Who's your
Mm-hmm.
best friend?" He's like, "My dad." "Who's this?" So one
Mm-hmm.
time I think he was doing something, and I told him like, if you do that, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And that word,
Mm-hmm.
it broke him. He cried almost the whole day, and I didn't know why he
Mm-hmm.
was crying. So
Mm-hmm.
I asked him like, "Why you sad all the way? You keep crying?" And then you say you don't want to be my friend. I'm like, that broke my heart. I'm like, no, buddy, I didn't mean that. And I had to tell her like, that is, I did not mean that. You will always be my friend, because that's how close we are. And at the same time, like my daughter, like I said, I call her my first boy child, because anything I'm doing, whether it's physical work or anything, she always wants to be involved. So I call her daddy's little helper, because she always willing to help. So I'm both a girl's dad and boy's dad.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me give a shout out here to the late Kobe Bryant. You know, I mean, may his soul rest in peace. I know you're a Lakers fan, so obviously, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But man, Kobe Bryant brought like a whole new recognition, to the girls that right, like the whole account thing. Because I think, you know, in addition to his daughter that passed away with him, Gianna, right?
Yep. Yep.
He had like all girls.
Yep.
And four used to give him hard time. So if I have to do it all over again,
I'll
I will
do it.
have all girls, right?
Yep. Yep.
Because man, I'm a girl's dad. You know what I mean? I'm a girl's dad. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. He was taking his, kids to their basketball game. That Gianna, who passed away with him, right? Jada, what you
Yep.
talking about your daughter, right?
Yep.
Gianna was always there with everywhere he goes, right? And that's
Mhm.
and sometimes, man, it's like, especially right when a girl gets glued to you, every he said sometimes you would sometimes when you want to drive there we say get away from me a little bit. No, no, go to your mom. No. Why?
I tell my daughter that sometimes like your mom's
Yeah,
right because she would leave her mother like sitting on the couch and
yeah,
she would come and ask me to do stuff or like if she always wants to sit by me and then she loves to cuddle. So she would take my hand and like wrap it around her to cuddle. So up to now, she sleeps in my bed and then I would take her, pick her up and carry her to her room. But she always wants to be around me. Always, always, always wants to be
yeah,
around me. And
yeah.
to the point where, but at the same time, she's like such a girly girl, but she's a daddy's girl because
But that's it. Yeah, I mean, like they be into all that girl stuff, right?
yep,
But when it comes to day and your dad,
yeah,
there's no daylight.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
daylight. It's like they'll go to war for their dad,
Oh yeah,
right? They'll go
yeah,
to bat for their dad. It's like what I mean. Don't it's like I mean, you see that and stuff like that, right? And especially we are immigrants, African immigrants, who come from a society where folks feel the stereotype is what I mean, having a girl
yeah,
is something, you should always have a boy and things like
right,
that.
right,
But man, to me, right, my greatest joy is raising my two girls, right? And especially my little one,
yeah.
is like step by step,
Yep,
step by step.
I,
Okay,
that's the
step
reason
by
why. Yeah, I
step.
say French was
You know what I mean?
okay,
And stuff like
okay,
that.
and
So
like
so it's like the joke around is she's my wife, because she acts like it. Okay.
that
Yeah,
is
she
so
acts like
funny that
it
you say
and
that.
stuff
That's what
like
my
that.
daughter says when
Yeah.
sometimes my wife would say, "Don't you know that's my husband?" And then she's like, "That's both of our husband."
So yeah, man. So first of all, shout out to all the guests that are out there. And again, Kobe Bryant, man, may his soul rest in peace. But to all the fathers out there that are raising girls, right? Shout out to you. Shout out to all the girls that don't feel ashamed about raising girls, man. They are joyful, they are fun. It's like it is something special to me raising girls, right? Their emotions on a whole different level, but
hmm
it's joyful, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
see, what I mean, and things like that, right? It's joyful. So I think, right, but how do we even like sometimes break that gender stereotypes? Because it's like it girls, right? Sometimes like it becomes so emotional around you, right? It's like okay, oh, it's going, oh, dad, I love you. I don't know where,
yeah,
okay? You know what I mean? Dad, is everything okay? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, and sometimes it's like, dad, is everything okay? Dad, what can I do for you? Dad, can I do this? So wow, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Versus a boy, he doesn't even care whether sometimes, right, that
Exactly.
relationship is
Yeah.
there, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, man. So but shout out to all the guests that are out there, man. It's like don't feel ashamed about raising these girls. I think they are tough. They consider us as their father, right? It protect us, empowers them, right? And things like that. But I know you have, described your relationship with your daughter. Beyond that, what other special moments, right, do you guys share together, right? Because I mean, for me, man, with mine is that we have so many great memories, right? And
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
I can't even remember.
Exactly. Like I said, she's only 5, but so far
Hmm.
is we've like had so many fond memories that we've shared. So she just finished kindergarten, and
Hmm.
last year one time she came, and I don't know where she got it from, but she came. She's like, "Can you take me on a date?" So I'm like, "Take me on a date." Okay. So and then she planned it out.
Okay,
And
okay.
imagine at the time she had just turned 5, and then
Yeah.
she's like, "Okay, you go to the store, you buy flowers, and then you would come to the door, and then you would ring the doorbell, and then you say, 'Where's my princess? I want to take you on a date.'" And I did exactly that. I went to the store,
Okay.
the bouquet of flowers, and I came to
Uh,
the door. She saw me walking to the door. I closed the door, and then I rang the doorbell, and then I'm like so surprised. I'm like, "My princess, I want to take you on a date." And she's like, and up to
that's
today, she keeps
yeah.
talking about it. Like, "Remember when you took me out on a date?" I said, "Yeah." That was so much fun. But what she didn't like was that everybody else came along.
Hmm. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So she said next time that I take her out on a date, she said
Yeah.
when she turns 6, she wants me to take her on a date again, and it should be
Okay.
just the two of us. She don't want
Okay.
everybody else to
So,
come.
man, you should
So
keep that private. You should keep that
yeah,
private. Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, but one thing, right, is like as you know, as fathers raising girls, and especially if you have girls, and as a dad, we have girls, right? It's like you should remember, man. It's like, do you girls need you, right? If you know, be there, a loving father, they
yep.
need you as a protector, active in your life. You know what I mean? Don't be like, oh, I'm not your mother, I'm not the mother and
All
stuff
right.
like that. Right? Says like for me, it's like I said, I raised my girls for all these years. Like, sometimes imagine, right, is that when they are growing up, you don't want to give them bath, I do
Yep.
everything for them. And a certain time, we say, okay, you know what? Now they are grown up, you wonder, okay, are they even like doing the right thing? You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, so it's like, but do is like that just that growth, right? Watching them grow, and things like that. It's so fun. It's so special. It
Yep.
just it just to me, right? And sometimes, right, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of special challenges that girls there face, right? It's not always easy. I mean, their emotion is on a
Yeah,
whole different
especially
level.
in your case when they're getting older.
Yeah, on a whole different level, so that you deal with them. And then when they are two, they be fighting among themselves, arguing. What are you guys arguing about? No, he's my dad. He's not your dad. He's my dad. Really, you know what I mean? Things like that.
My
But
daughter and my youngest son, they always do that. Like he will always say, "He's my daddy," and then I say, "Okay, I'm both for your dad." But I thought you were my dad. And the other day, she made my older son to like cry, and then he keeps like, Pray said you love her more than you love her." I'm like, "No, no, no." I said, "Don't, don't ever say that." I said, "I love all of you guys just as much," but
yeah,
how she feels. She's like, because she's always around me, she's like, "Daddy loves me more." I'm like, don't say that.
and don't you know, right? One of the other thing, right? As a father, as a dad, is like sometimes even your kids accuse you. It's so you love her more, or you love one person more than them. You
That's
wonder.
that's what
No,
we're
okay.
getting at. Yep.
There's that situation, right? Like your little girl, right? Spend more time with you because she's the one that always want to be around you.
Yep.
Are you gonna
Yep.
say no to her? No, right? She's the one that always want to be around you. She's the one that
Yep.
always want to be present. She's the one who she understands you, right?
Yep.
It's like as I said, my little one understands me. She knows how to push my buttons. She know what to push to get what. She know how to, she's not afraid to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
When she wants something, she's gonna come and ask, right? The other one want to sometimes instead of her coming direct, they want to go through her, and then she will say, yeah, and then she will say, "Oh, I love her more than her." I say, you don't understand, right? Hey, I might be biased, right? But the bias is only that what she's coming around
More
all the
time.
time, right?
Yeah.
She's not afraid to come around. She's not afraid to be present. When I'm away, she calls me. When she don't see me, right? She calls me, checks on me. It's like, how do you? First of all, I think it's a one-way love, right? Because she's the one that shows me more concern that I'm
Exactly.
even doing
Exactly.
that. You know what I mean? And things like that, right? But sometimes they accuse you of that. Oh, you love this person more than me and
More
stuff.
than
No, that's
right.
not true, right? It's just that someone is more glued to, is more glued to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they want to be with you all the time and things like that and stuff. So, but folks, tonight it's our Father Day special. We feel fathers don't get enough love, especially in this America, man. Fathers don't get enough love. And to the dudes out there that you and your wife living together, you have the kid. Don't just leave all the work to her. She shouldn't be doing everything for the kids. Yeah, that African mentality, let it go
Yep.
behind.
Yeah.
Help, help the madam. You raise the kids together, right? Raise them together. So that when Father's Day comes, she don't just take you into a restaurant. She
Mm-hmm.
give me a special thing that my man Peterson Ware is giving him this Father's Day. Because if you are just one of those dudes who just, you only 10%, even though you live in a home where you only 10% involved, on Father's Day, you're only gonna get restaurant,
Yeah. If
restaurant.
even, if even that audio just say, "Oh, happy Father's Day." I bought you a shirt from Kohl's.
Oh no, not coast. Oh no, not coast. Man, don't do that to me,
My
not
burning
coast.
takeoff factory.
Oh, yeah, and then like that, they will feel that you are just a donor. You know what I mean? That you
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean. So guys, man, if you are especially when you are living at home, man, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I think it shouldn't even be 50-50 thing, right? Be more involved, be more active, as your father, right? Because it's a special gift to being a
Yeah.
dad. It's a special gift of being a father.
and more
So,
especially if if she works out of the home, outside of the home,
mhm,
and
yeah,
even if she's at home all day, like stay at home mom, don't just
mhm,
assume like, you just home all day. I mean,
yeah.
what are you doing so much? No, it's work. It's work. It
It's work.
takes
It's work.
it takes
It's work.
hard
Yeah,
work
definitely, man.
to get
Definitely,
off.
definitely, definitely. And first of all, even though we're celebrating Father's Day and stuff like that, right? To all the single mothers out there too who play the role of father, mother, we also want to say, man, that I mean, it's a special shout out to you as well, right? Because
Yep,
you are doing the work. At the end of the day, you are doing something. Some of the dudes are running away from, or maybe it's
yep,
because of
yep.
situation or circumstances, right? They cannot be there. But you mothers, is that you guys, especially to all the single mothers out there, right? You are playing both roles, right? You are playing dual role, a
Hmm.
father and a mother. Bringing raising a child, especially in this America, man, it's not easy. It's tough. It's challenging, and I can't imagine a single person doing it. You know what I mean? So shout out to all the single mothers out there, but a big shout out to all the single fathers out there, and a
Yes.
big shout out to all the fathers out there, right? A
Yeah.
special Father's Day. Fathers don't get celebrated enough, man. May, oh, Mother's Day coming, flowers and stuff. June is all quiet, man. Do you even know, if you're not going to tell me last week that June 15th, this coming Sunday, Peter is Father's Day? I didn't know that. you know, I didn't know that.
Yep.
You know, it's like they just keep quiet because the only thing they want to do on Father's Day can, oh, let's go to the restaurant.
Go
Or
to
as
the
you said, the
restaurant.
coach. Oh, yes, a little coach shirt. Or I surprise you with a coach shirt. What's up with that? So is that what there's like silence, right? There's complete silence.
Yeah.
You're
I
not hearing,
think
you're not hearing much about it.
yeah, I think sometimes too, like we said last week, society as a whole, they think when it comes to fatherhood, like why you want to be celebrated? It's your responsibility. It's something that you're just supposed to do. But
Hmm.
I think fathers deserve to be recognized. They deserve to be appreciated. So that, I mean, we are all human. If you just day in day out doing like your routine, whether it's your responsibility or not, you're doing that, and you don't feel that sense of appreciation, you get like tired. And I mean, not to say that throughout generations, since fathers, we haven't been celebrated enough that people will neglect their duty and say, "Oh, I'm tired now that you don't appreciate me." But we still do deserve that at least recognition to say, "Oh, okay, for all the hard work, all the sacrifices, everything that you do to help to raise these children." And everybody's doing their own way. Some might help to like physically take care of the kids, and others it might be like providing that financial security to make sure
Hmm.
that the kids are in the same neighborhood, they're getting a good education, and it just depends on how you see it or you interpret being a father. But
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
do deserve to be celebrated and honored.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, right, I think fatherhood is a calling, right? Fatherhood
Yeah,
is a calling, not a role. If
right.
someone think like it's your role, no, it's not a job, it's a calling.
Yeah.
And when you take it, with that responsibility to know it's a calling, it's not a role that you just playing a role. No. So you gotta be involved. And I think when fathers are celebrated as we are doing here tonight, other folks will see it and say, oh man, I think you know what I'm saying, right? This is not a role, right? I'm just playing, right?
Hmm.
It's a responsibility, it's a calling. It's something I should be there for my kids, right? When they need me, to go to basketball game, if I have to sacrifice, if I don't, you know what I mean, I want them to be. If I end the day, I tell my kids, right? I say, hey, I could be living, somewhere downtown Minneapolis I'm in a condo,
Yeah,
right?
in a condo,
Yeah,
in a
my
high
kids
rise
like
somewhere. Yeah.
live it up and all those stuff, man. But because of it, guys, to me, it's a calling. I have to take that responsibility very seriously, right? To be
Mhm.
there, right? When other fathers and dads, expecting dads and expecting fathers are seeing this and folks, and we are talking more about, because there's a difference between, to me, being a man, right? Is like, and a father.
Right.
And that's what I feel, where a father who, if and being a father is a calling, because there's a difference between a man. man, sometimes we don't have emotion, right? We just say that we just go about. But kids can give you a whole different dynamic, a whole different perspectives about life. That's not all about you anymore, right? Because sometimes we can be stuck in our own little selfish world. But
Yeah.
when you have kids, right? Especially kids, you have family, you realize, God, this is not about me anymore, right? You have to give of yourself, right? It becomes that self-sacrifice. You have to
Right.
sacrifice to
Right.
make sure they come up right, to make sure they are raised right, to
Mhm.
make sure you're providing them the best that you can provide them. Because, dude, when you leave this world, right, that's the only legacy you have.
That's it. That's it.
That's your only legacy you have, right?
That's it.
There's a book that I love, what I mean, it's by David Brooks. He talks about your eulogy virtue versus your resume virtue, right? Yeah, your resume virtue is all about your job, your
Yep.
title, your cars and stuff like that. And your eulogy virtues, right? How you live your life. And to me, the biggest testament to how you live your life as a father it's how you raise your kids.
Children.
It's how you involve in your kids' life. Because at the end of the day, when you leave tomorrow, they'll say, "Oh, that that Peterson, that Peterson kids that died." Or you know what I mean?
That lies. That lies, Peter.
You know what I mean? That Peterson daughter died there. That Peterson daughter died there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
stuff like that. Look, you know what I mean? And stuff. They might say all the worst thing about you, but when they see that child, it becomes a reflection of you. That's at the end of the day, that's the only legacy we leave. You will leave all the money in the bank. Doesn't matter, bro. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So that's why I think fatherhood and being a father and being a dad is a responsibility. If we can take this month of June, right, to really celebrate fathers, I think it will mean like a lot of folks will take it not just because being a man, as I said, is different.
Of course.
you know, completely different. And things like that. So what you gotta say about that? I mean, you wanted to say something?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so that thing, I think, when we use this month of June to celebrate fathers, to celebrate all of the great dads out there, whether you are struggling, right, just to make it, whether you are absent, you're trying to be confused, you are away, man, try to be involved, right? Try to be involved. But man, Peterson, this is a 1 hour show. It's been a great discussion. It's been a fun discussion, we're taking the house, celebrating, doing a segment on Father's Day. The ladies refuse to come on here tonight to give a shout out to all the fathers. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I said we got great females on this partner that are here. Great female panelists. But again, right, when it comes to the men, especially the fathers, they feel it's our role. No,
Exactly. It's your role. Why you want something that you're born to do to be celebrated or honored?
yeah. So yeah, for folks, to all the ladies out there, right, it's not our role, it's our calling. So celebrate us a little bit, and that's what my man and myself have done here tonight. But Peterson, as we wrap up, this segment, this is our last topic here for that. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. As I said, Father's Day is Sunday, June 15th, and this is our way of honoring all of the fathers out there. But as we wrap up this segment, what is the message you want to leave with all the fathers out there? All of the fathers out there. No
Yes.
discrimination. All the fathers out there.
All the fathers. Yeah, thanks, Eve. It's been a great, fun conversation. And thanks to those who commented, Wayne and Chinsetta. They said Happy Father's Day. Thank you both. But I wanted to say, like, to all the dads out there, because sometimes we say, oh, Father's Day. And I think we should, like Chinsetta said earlier, there's a difference between like a father and a dad, because anybody uh every man has the potential to become a father,
Yeah. Okay.
but to be a dad where you have that special bond with your child or with your children. So, to all the fathers out there, whether you are a single father, you are a girl's dad, or a children's dad, I want to say Happy Father's Day. And although we don't get this recognition, we don't get this love, and we don't get to be celebrated often, but all your efforts and sacrifices, they are really important and valuable in your children's lives. So keep on doing what you're doing. And those who are discouraged and they've kind of maybe turned away or neglected that responsibility of being a dad, whether it's due to any circumstance or not, you should think of it as now with the child or children involved. Don't think of what happened between you and the mother. And I mean, as much as some mothers who want to keep a child or children away from their father, I don't think majority of them want to keep the child away. So don't let your emotions get the best of you where you'll be like, oh, okay, well, she said I shouldn't come around, or she said I should leave, or since it didn't work out between us, then I'm gonna just leave she and her kids, or I'm going to now just be paying child support. But try to be involved in your children's lives. And there are some people who are even present physically in the home. It's like a two-parent home, but just because they are there physically, they are not there emotionally. They are not there for the kids. And
Mhm.
like we were saying, in the traditional African setting or immigrant setting, where the father is working out of the home most times, but in this country, majority of the time both parents are working, but they will leave the responsibility of the children only to the mother. And even if she's a stay-at-home mom, they'll be like, oh, I'm working all day, I'm coming, I don't have time to take care of kids. No, that little time that you spend with them is going to impact your life. They don't really care whether you working 2 3 jobs and bringing in $1 billion and they're living like high rise building. That is not important to them. But the time
Yeah.
that you spend with your kids, that
Yeah.
is what will live on with them, and they're going to remember. So to all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. And if your partner or that special person is bringing up restaurant, say no restaurant this year, I want something different. Happy Father's Day.
Definitely, definitely. Thanks, man. My man, Peters over a great closing there, man. But definitely, man. I mean, to your point, first of all, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, to all the dads out there, single, married, wherever, happy Father's Day. It's a responsibility. Again, fatherhood, being a father, it's a calling, right? Don't consider it as your role. It's a calling. But to Peterson's point, it is you have to take that responsibility and take that initiative to build a bond. The woman is not going to tell you to build a bond with your child. That's not her role to do that, right? You got to You got to take that responsibility to build a bond by yourself. However way you can do it, try to do it. If you
Yeah,
even if you are living at home, don't just oh I'm working because if you live in a home and you're not building your own bond with your kids, right? Is it's not up to the mother to force you to do that. You have to build
right.
your own bond. You have to build your own relationship, and the relationship you build with your kids, they remember it forever. They cherish it, right? Sometimes sacrifice. Sometimes hey, take your kids out, man. Just the two of just if you have three or four, you guys just go out. You just hang out, do something, take them out for vacation. Sometimes just that moment where like my kids, my kids school sometimes they have this daughter and father dance, right? You know what I mean? Those and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Especially my little one, those are things she look forward to. Dad, we gotta go, right? She goes there, you know what I mean, and things like that, right? And I do take them on vacation regularly. We just do that bounding, right? And things like that. As your dad, as a father, do not wait for the mother to tell you, say, oh, you have to build relationship with your kids. It should be your
Right.
responsibility. We should take it, man, because at the end of the day, that's the only legacy we're gonna leave behind. That's
Yep.
the only legacy. And the way you raise them, the way you cherish them, the way you honor them, because it's hard. I mean, raising kids, especially in America, you know, because sometimes both parents are working.
Mhm.
Everybody working. Yeah, they're not Africa, yeah, only the man working, the woman working, you working. So
Yep.
why should you only be the woman, taking care of the kids? Both of you should be there taking care of the kids. And sometimes I feel you even go above and beyond, right? What you can do, right? And sometimes some men will say, oh, maybe I'm paying child support, I'm giving extra, I'm paying this, I'm doing that. No, the money sometimes mean nothing to these kids.
Yep.
you know, it's the relationship that matters to them.
Right.
If they can go to school and say, my dad, right? My dad, right? Why they are because sometimes we live in an environment where the Caucasian they'll all be boasting about their parents. My dad this, my dad that. Oh,
Mhm.
my dad and I we just came from Florida and stuff like that. Hey,
Yep.
my kids do that 10 times to them. They will say, oh,
Yep.
we're about to we are about we just came from Disney World. We're
Yep.
about to go this place. We're about to go that place. They wonder, okay, do you guys travel all the time? Is it my kids say, yeah, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, right? So, but those are the things we need to do as fathers, man, as parents, and we need to build our own unique relationship with our kids. because that's the only legacy we're gonna leave. So
Yep.
Peterson, man, it's great having it's great. It's been great having a discussion with you.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
Father's Day to you.
You
And
too.
man, my sister-in-law, she didn't just give you that restaurant treat. It should be something
No.
special this year. And to all the fathers out there, say no to restaurant this year. When they ask you, say,
And
who
you
takes
said
you
us
for
that
say
no,
no?
so
Say, you know,
no
Sako
restaurant
Podcast.
boxes.
You know,
I get
Sako
your back
Podcast.
boxes.
Oh, shit. I read, oh, that, especially, oh, that restaurant and Baxter, man. That's all, yeah, that's all, yeah. Come on, man. What's up with that? Why do we always get that restaurant and Baxter? Nah, say no to that this year, Father. Say no
Yeah.
to that this year, Dad. So, but thank you so much, folks, for joining us tonight. It's been a great show. Tomorrow, we're going to be back here with the police chief of Broken Park. It's the summer months, a lot of violence in our communities during the summer. My man Peterson can tell Chicago sometimes summer month they be shooting all over there. So
Yep.
the police chief is going to be here tomorrow talking about ways we can, prevent gun violence, especially gun violence. Is a huge thing in our communities and things like that. So his police chief of Broken Park is going to be here tomorrow talking to us about gun violence and public safety right during these summer months. And then Thursday, our very own Liberian sister. She's a representative in the state of Colorado, right? Come here on Thursday and hear her story, man. It's a
Nice.
unique story. She's going to be here Thursday joining the Inner Cycle podcast. So we hope you can join us on Thursday. And then we'll close it out on Friday with our man woman segment. We'll call it the what? The social segment. So,
Very well.
so yeah. So, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a great discussion. Again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and say no to the restaurant.